It's spooky season, bitch.
Whoa! Just right off the bat, it's fall, y'all.
I was ready.
Welcome to the Oh Here We Go podcast.
I'm Lacey.
I'm Stephanie.
And today we're bringing on Mia Magik, who is a witch.
Y'all, I had no idea.
Yeah.
We knew this interview would be good, but I was thinking it would be like, you know, like this like dark mystical,
yeah.
like Salem, kind of like like what the media portrays witches as, and it just wasn't. It was more something that I was like, oh, damn, kind of.
It's within all of us.
Yeah, I'm like, my little witch.
Yeah, like that's one of I think my biggest takeaways is literally everyone can do it, and it's just bringing awareness and to yourself and to your thoughts, and just bringing awareness and consciousness to the actions you take, and bringing oneness to like the earth and plants, and it's all oneness.
It's all for the earth.
Yeah,
is what she was saying.
Like,
everything they do is for the earth.
It's
not
very
like,
much a cross between, like, I think spirituality and witch could be like the verbiage can be they're interchangeable. Like, to me,
that's what I was feeling.
She's a witch, but I'm also like, she's a very spiritual person.
As fuck.
Yeah.
And it's not like the sacrificing the like,
it's not dark.
Lamb's leg. Yeah. Like, or whatever the fuck. It's none of that. It's, that's just super, I mean, maybe she's super clear on like, there's so many different types and you do whatever works for you. But like, yeah. And this was good.
Also, I love that we talked about the history of witches. And like, even we dove into religion and how that's connected into this. And I mean, there's just so much history, and it makes sense. Like, I just had no idea how much like witches and witchcraft is actually like really in the history of that plays into how society is today. I had no idea. I was like, that is like heavily connected to today. And I didn't really even think about that.
And just like manifesting and how that's so connected to witchcraft as well, and like different types. And then like, I mean, we didn't talk about this as much as I would like now that I think about it, but the whole like sex magic.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I want to get into that.
Like, I need to bring her back on. We just talk about that.
Yeah, like I honestly like she does.
I want some sex magic.
She has like her own witch school. So that's amazing if you want to look into that. I'm very curious about it. But she used to be a life coach, and she probably may still have clients. But I was thinking like, girl, maybe one day.
I mean, it's just great. Like, I just love doing this podcast, and I love opening up October with this type of interview, because it's just like, it's the vibe.
One thing that I actually thought about when we were talking to her is, you know, if you don't change, if you surround yourself with the same people who are interested in the same activities, extracurricular activities, music, food, you're never going to change. And so one thing that this podcast does for us, or especially for me, because I'm speaking off my own experience, is we're surrounding ourselves with people who are not like us.
Right. No.
Right.
We're on the same page. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
And I just like
we're
had
constantly growing.
I had that realization. I was like, wow, I'm really, even without consciously knowing that is what we are doing, I had that moment. I'm like, whoa, like I'm changing and like I'm growing, and anyways.
Well, even if it's something so small as like, okay, before this interview, I thought witches were one thing, and now I know that they're totally different and I was wrong. I'm like, that in itself is growth, even if it's something small like that. Yeah. I'm like, okay, now I know. And I'm just like, I just am so wanting to absorb and grow. And we can't do that without bringing on other people and talking to them. I guess we could listen to podcasts, but I mean, or we could just do our own. But I mean, yeah, like, this was good, y'all. It was also a very long interview, so we're not gonna like sit here and
talk your ear off.
Yeah, talk your ear off. So you know,
we're just gonna go ahead and
we're just gonna jump right into this. God. So without further ado, here's Mia and
oh, here we go. All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick break to introduce one of our sponsors. And yes, I said sponsor.
That's where we're at, baby. About time.
Introducing Neft Vodka, a premium spirit in its purest form. You know, Neft is a proprietary blend of the finest ancient non-GMO rye. Yes, I said non-GMO. I'm looking at all my non-GMO girlies, Stephanie.
I was more focused on the whole ancient part, but okay. I mean, this shit is cute. Like, comes in a barrel. Like,
Yeah.
we know.
I've never seen something come in a barrel other than beer, but I don't even drink beer.
Yeah, I haven't even really seen that. But I'm just that person that if I'm in a store and I'm shopping for something that I don't know what the fuck anything about, if they have cute branding and they're going out on that I'll buy that.
Yeah.
And that I like this. It comes in like what? I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
It's cute. Yeah.
Also, one thing that we figured out when we went out the other night is
a pregame.
This stays cold in the barrel for like about 5-6 hours.
Yeah,
which was so nice because have you ever tasted warm ass vodka?
Oh yeah. Well,
No,
also
ma'am.
I just have never paid attention to the temperature of vodka like that. But then when we came back, it was still cold, and I was like, wait. Okay, now I'm listening. And so that was just interesting.
Yeah, I'm typically not a vodka girly, but Neft makes my titties shake. So here we are.
And it goes down pretty smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in Neft, we will leave the website down below. And go check out Neft in one of your local liquor stores.
You know what I'm saying?
Back to the show. Welcome back, guys.
Hello. Today we have on Mia Magik.
Yeah. I'm so excited about this episode because I have so many witchy questions. I don't know much about witchcraft literally at all.
But anything. Yeah. So we've been talking about this quite a bit, just like reeling in questions that we want to ask. Like I'll like wake up one morning and like write a question down that I want to ask you. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, I think the most I know that would fall under the umbrella of magic is like manifesting, and that's pretty much it. That's a way of like almost, I don't like to use manipulate, but manipulating energy or moving energy or utilizing energy. Utilizing is a better word. I think.
I guess I didn't even think about
Am
that.
I right on that?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah, and manipulate the context of that word. I'm a very big etymology nerd, the origin and the study of the nature of our language, and manipulate has come to mean something negative, or we have a negative connotation with it, but that's not the original. It's just meant like to form or to put your influence on something, to use your mind. The prefix of that comes from mind. So the thing was to utilize your mind to change or affect or impact it. So it's like, yes, we're manipulating, but it's because we're powerful beyond our own imaginings, and we have the capacity to inform and impact our reality by using the strength of our mind.
Well, damn.
Okay.
Well, wait.
This is great. Introduce yourself.
Yeah. Before we get into it, tell us about you, because like that was already like, wow. Yeah. So tell us.
I know. I left, and my partner was like, "You gonna go blow their minds, baby?" And I was like, "I'm sure I will."
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So my name is Mia Magik. I am from the ancient old growth redwood forest of Northern California, the dragon and fairy land.
Wait, is that where you grew up?
Oldest and largest living beings on the planet. So they are my greatest teachers, and where I get mostly all of my information. I mean, I read a lot of books, but they're the wise ones. And the word witch, I am a modern witch. I have done a lot in reclaiming that word, and also reclaiming the name of God or the goddess in my own life and for others. And it's really just about like what you were just discussing, utilizing or harnessing the universal forces of energy to create whatever it is that we desire. Because I think that when people are truly fulfilled, not necessarily like driving Bugattis and hanging out on yachts, but really fulfilled spiritually and purposefully and professionally, that you don't have any need to take from others or hurt others or perpetuate more pain in the world. So I'm really here for us all to live our own happily ever after, so that we can make the world a better place.
I love that.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh wait, so where are you from? Like, are you from that area?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I moved to New York when I was 17, and I lived there for 7 years, and I've been in LA for a long time now. almost a
Why
decade.
New York?
Oh God, it was just like
It's a phase.
well, it's a different life. And when you grow up in a small town and you're a big person like I am, and you have big dreams and big goals,
Big person.
yeah, and you know that your life is meant to be big, that's what you're destined for. That it's hard sometimes to live in small towns.
Yeah.
So I went to New York for the first time when I was 5, and I just looked up and I was like, "Mommy, I'm gonna live here when I grow up." And that was it. And I moved there.
What was that? That was
You should do
amazing.
voice acting.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Eventually.
Oh my God. So what was your childhood like?
Oh man, well my parents invented roof racks. So
What is that?
The things that carry kayaks and skis
Oh,
and bikes on top
a
of your
roof
car.
rack.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So my dad was like a kayak bum, and we just ran rivers, and obviously like then they became very successful. So they're really grounded hippie people
Oh, I like that.
and super down to earth and very like not flashy or anything at all. So I had a very like pretty idyllic childhood. My dad has some deep, profound unworthiness that he definitely projected onto my brother and I, but yeah, it was beautiful. It was naturally beautiful. We have a big pack of hunting dogs, and my dad's a hunter and very connected to the earth. I've learned so much about nature from him, and yeah, and just rivers and lakes and all kinds of adventures.
One thing that you said, I mean, your parents coming into the success, a person in my life has recently come into success, and he's been talking about, you can go down 2 paths, and it's you're because you're met with like, I guess, just financial freedom. And it's common for people to either go down this like more spiritual path or this more materialistic path. It's like so common. So that's interesting to hear you also say that.
Yeah, I find that it's the duty and obligation. This is one of my favorite teachers and friends, Ben Decker, always said this, is that it's the duty and obligation of people with money and influence to gain higher consciousness in order to change the world. And it's the duty and obligation of people with higher consciousness to gain money and influence in order to change the world.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, we have to. It's up to spiritual people to have money so that we can affect change.
Yeah.
And I find that also, in that vein, when you find success, if you're doing personal development work, which was actually how I found success. Like I didn't start making good money and then start doing spiritual work. I was like broke as fuck doing all my spiritual work for like a decade before then the material wealth started to come to me. And I find that you really get to look at sort of your own, like what my dad dealt with was his own glass ceiling, his own upper limits. If you've read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, you hit this place where like your parents or your teachers or your society told you you'll never reach any farther than that. That's the top. And my dad reached that. And so then his life came basically crumbling down after that. And so that was always, in watching that happen to him, I was so devoted to working through my glass ceilings and my upper limits so that whenever all the success came, and it's here and it continues to come and grow and build, it's been such a beautiful dream coming true every day, is that I don't have that anymore. And I keep working every day whenever I hit another limit or like okay, oh fuck, oh my God, it's getting better, or there's more money, or there's more freedom, like, oh no, I should probably contract or self-sabotage or like do something to like
make yourself
my inner
smaller.
child feel safe, because this is scary. It's like, no, I'd rather expand than contract.
Wow.
And that's like the nature of orgasm, it's the nature of giving birth, it's like we contract and then we expand.
Wow. Expansion is one of my words this year.
Well,
Good one.
Yeah.
How did they feel about, since they're like hippie and grounded, feel about you wanting to move to New York? Was that kind of like that rebellion, like
my mom took me, literally, like I said, we moved 10 days out of high school, and my mom took me and she goes, God, you're just the first foot out of the cab hit the ground and you were home. It just like was a place where I could be big.
Oh, okay.
It was just a place where I could be myself, and they fully supported that. And my mom loves culture. My mom's a Sagittarius, so she loves traveling and culture. So she would come to visit me in New York like a couple times a year just to go to the museums and like see the Broadway shows.
What's your dad?
My dad is an Aquarius.
What are you?
Gemini.
Gemini. Oh, okay. Wow.
We're a perfect quadrant, actually. My mom and I are opposites, Sag and Gemini, fire and air. And my dad and brother are opposites, Aquarius and Leo, fire and air. And we're all within a day or two of each other on the numbers as well. Yeah, like very Oedipal family. It's kind of crazy.
Oh,
I love that.
yeah. How did like this, so you went from, New York, and then how did Witchcraft find you? Or what is that even
it
like
did
a
find me, didn't it? It did find me.
Yeah.
Well, again, the origin of the word is wise. That's what witch means. It means like the wise one, the one who sees, the one who knows. And so from my perspective, anyone can be a witch. And a lot of my friends that are total witches don't claim the name. And a lot of my friends that are like have zero sort of standard witchcraft training or knowledge call themselves witches, and they don't do any of the like elemental, you know, they're not, they don't call directions, they don't set circles like they're tantrikas, or they're just like deep embodiment practitioners, or whatever the case may be. So how it really found me, it's so funny that I just can't help myself that it came through him. But I was dating this horribly abusive, awful supermodel who was very Christian.
Oh,
and he was just
interesting.
so out of integrity with like, he would say like, I'm Christian. And I would just see that.
Christian.
Exactly. I'm like, well, I'm familiar with a few of the words of Jesus, and you really don't seem to be living in alignment with that. Anyways, whatever. I was young. So, but he didn't really have much parental influence in his life. His parents were drug addicts and lots of crazy abuse and shit. And so he had this powerful relationship with God. God was his father. He would talk on the phone to him, and he would shut the door and be like, baby, I have to talk to God right now. I was like, okay. So one day, after hearing him have all these phone calls, I walked out of the house. And
He would literally like physically have
I
a
mean,
phone?
he wasn't like doing this. He would just be like, so God, this is what I'm dealing with. And he would like receive answers, you know? And it was great for him. And it influenced me witnessing it. And I just one day went outside, and I was walking down 6th Street between 1st and A in New York. And I remember just looking up and being like, God? And I'll just never forget that moment. It's like the way the sun shone through the trees and the way the wind rustled in the leaves. It's still like, after all these years, it was like, yes.
Oh, so like a voice came, like
There wasn't a voice.
It was just like that knowing.
Elements. Yeah, it was just like, I'm here. I've always been here. I'm everywhere. I'm all around you. I'm not like some dude in the sky. You can always communicate with me.
Yeah.
I'm everything. And that was the first moment that I started to seek some type of spiritual connection to source, universe, creation, God, goddess, whatever your word is. It all really means the same thing. And then I went to Burning Man for the first time after I moved to LA, and I met this epic witch, and she wore a top hat. That was her witch hat. And we just had some really powerful experiences at the burn, and very basic. Like I was like, doing my service in the kitchen and stuff. Like I didn't even leave the camp very often. I was like camping with Petite Hermitage, so it was like very fancy. And for my first burn, crazy. And she just said to me at the end of the burn, she was like, hey, we should hang out when we get back to LA. And I was like, yeah, okay. She's like, I'm into some pretty witchy shit. And I was like, okay, I don't really know what that means, but like I'm into witchy shit, I guess. And she just started taking me to all different kinds of things, Guy Douglas's sound bath and breath work and ayahuasca ceremonies and song circles and just so many different things. And so my voice and my heart and my spiritual world and my capacity to heal myself, which is, breath work is the most profound thing. You need nothing and you can have this psychedelic transcendent experience. And I just started realizing that witchy shit was fucking dope. I was like, this is amazing. My life is changing. I feel like myself. And and so then it just unfolded. And I remember, like really, I'm like, God, I need, what's my magic hat? Like, what's my magic hat? I need a magic hat for years. And the last burn that happened, because it didn't happen last year. So the burn before that, I met this girl, this gorgeous Persian witch, and she was wearing a witch hat. And we did this photo shoot, like with the hat in the center of us three witches all in black. And I put it on one night and just had this, and I was like, this is my magic hat.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I haven't even really claimed the word as much as people now like fully associate me, like that's the witch girl on Instagram. Like people literally say that to me when you're that witch girl from Instagram. I'm like,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that just happened recently. Yeah, it was a search for wisdom. It was a search for magic, for healing, for personal growth, and and really ultimately always to find my purpose and my destiny. And that's really the big piece of it.
Yeah.
Like anyone can use wisdom and whatever that looks like, Buddhism, Tantra.
I guess I didn't realize that that's what that word meant. Like, wow. Is there like a community, like I don't know where you live, but like, is there like a community?
I live in Topanga.
Okay.
Oh.
So,
yeah.
Basically.
So, yeah,
I was
I'm
just
good.
in Topanga,
Yeah.
and I mean, I was
the
saying,
vibe.
yeah, it's so small.
Yeah.
And I
So
love
is there
it.
like a big community of that there? Like, is this just like, do you hang out with people that do all the same things, or like, I don't know?
We all have very different expressions of it. But yeah, all of my friends are into magic in some way, like whatever,
Wow.
whether it's sex magic or abundance magic or, oh yeah. Girl,
Sex
that's
magic?
That's the thing. Have you read Harry Potter? You know
Yeah.
there's a whole wizarding world that you can like open a secret door into? That's real. That exists.
What?
There are secret worlds
What?
behind doors that.
Wait.
like behind like physical doors. Was that a metaphor?
No, it's a metaphor.
what alley?
I was like, wait, what door?
So can men be witches?
Of course.
Okay, I didn't know if
wisdom.
that was like a
Yeah, I have
female
tons
oriented.
of men in my program. Tons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really. Witches are associated with women most of the time.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's the same origin as the word wizard. It's like it's all wise.
So
wise
wizard
one.
and witch is like the same.
What is the power of the hat, though? Because I wanted to know: is it just a symbol, or is it like something to do with your head, crown chakra?
Yeah, it's all of that. It's an antenna. It's extending you. So you're taller, you're closer to the sky and the stars. Like even when we see old versions of Merlin, right? He's got like a pointed hat. Maybe it doesn't have the brim, but a pointed hat. There were like Germanic people discovered fully mummified in ancient like Siberian or Mongolian China wearing pointed hats that like makes no sense. It's like what were these people doing here? That was just discovered but in this archaeological dig a few I don't know how many years ago, but one of my teachers like was very up in arms about that because she's a witch. And it's also when you flip it over, my hat, which I could have brought for the sake of the demonstration, but people listening wouldn't be able to see it anyways, but that V is the womb or the yoni or the pussy, and then the shape of the sides when it has a brim is like the ovaries. So it is the womb also. So especially for women, womb man is the womb mind. Like I said, man comes from manas, which means mind. And so women are the womb mind. So as a witch, you're wearing like putting your womb on top of your head and letting that be your connection to the divine, letting that be your antenna. And simultaneously, right, that is our connection to the divine. That's where a new soul can come into being from two like not alive things, and then all of a sudden the alchemy and the synergy of those two things creates new life. So it's intricate.
What? Yeah, like one thing I actually have been telling people recently, and it was from I think one of your videos with Sky. Maybe it didn't involve her, but basically like masturbating or orgasming is at such a high energy frequency because this is it's a life creating energy and source. And so when you manifest, when you're climaxing, it's your, how do I word this?
Yeah.
But you know where I'm going?
Sex magic. It's the highest form of
yeah.
communication, really, vibrational communication with the universe, because you're accessing that. Like in French, they call it le petit mot, which is like the little death. It's that powerful, right? It's like some part of you has to die. Some part of you has to surrender in order to experience that. You have to let go. I mean, unless you're like fucking yourself with a vibrator so hard and like forcing your body into orgasm, which I find that she doesn't really like, but you know, can be done. But yeah, generally when you're surrendering, when you're opening into orgasm and like,
oh my God.
Yeah,
So whenever
like,
you're orgasming, if you say what you want in life, is that how you do it?
You can visualize the most impactful way, and that my teacher and dear friend Layla Martin always says is to use a five senses reality. So prior to your practice beginning, you create a what is the sensation of taste when you have this thing? What are you tasting? Like if you're, you know, at your book launch party, like what are the hors d'oeuvres, or what are people saying to you when they introduce you to read the section of your book? What are, you know, what the sounds of everyone clapping,
fully
or like,
immersing yourself.
Yeah, and you create a 5 senses reality. So sight, taste, touch, smell, and sound. And
all while
and
orgasming, or
no, you create that beforehand so that then you move up the chakra system from your root in a very primal, earthy energy into your womb, very fluid, water energy into your solar plexus, fire, heat, action, passion, motivation, into your heart, breath, expansion, air, the mind, the infinite abundance, gratitude, into the throat, the vibration, the expression. What does it sound like for you? What are the ways that you're now free to be yourself? Because expression is not just how you speak, it's also how you show up and who you show up as. Then what's the vision? What does it look like? You know, what in your mind needs to shift and change in order for it to come to fruition? And then sending, you know, accessing your divine state. Hopefully by that time you've spent enough time cultivating and amplifying the energy. You spend time in your crown connecting to the divine, and then eventually send your orgasmic energy, or just climatic, pleasurable, communicative energy to the universe up into manifestation. And I usually like to let it like be a fountain down, or like a waterfall down, cascading back down over me, like in golden sparkles, like those cool fireworks. You know? And then you experience, you put yourself in the 5 senses so that it's like, this is real, this is happening.
Wow. There's a whole world we don't know about.
Yeah. Is this an experience that you can have both with a partner and by yourself?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. My partner knows. He loves we love all of our naughty Harry Potter dirty talk, right?
Is he a witch too?
He's a wizard, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So male is with, or is it whatever he prefer?
He just prefers that.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's definitely a witch. And he, you know, he'll always say, he's like, I'm a goddess on the inside. Like,
I love that.
And he's like a 6'5" Viking, like ripped, and yeah, so it's great. I love
Damn,
that.
this is kind of hot. Okay, wait, can you give us like a history or a background of witches? Like, where did it like kind of start, or like
Salem witch
Salem?
Oh, okay. Way before that. That was like in 1600. That's, yeah.
Well, see, we don't know.
Yeah, no. So that was the Salem witch trials, and many witch trials. That's a result of the church and of trying to control people, right? So if you lived, let's remember that before we had all of our pharmacies, all of our medicine came from plants. Everything. Like how we made bandages, everything came from the natural world, because we didn't have plastic and nylon and like shit like that. So everything came from the natural world. So you would have 1 or 2 or 3 people, depending on how big your tribe was, who would communicate with the plants and make the medicine, because that was how, like, how else was it going to get made, right? There weren't labs and big, manufacturing plants and things like that. So someone had to make it. Even that word, plants, like a manufacturing plant, but it's a plant.
Oh, yeah.
Plants. So everything came from plants. So you had a wise person, right, who would utilize their wisdom, their spiritual connection, their capacity to open or expand their mind enough to receive communication from the plants and understand what they were there for. And so all of those people, that was who you would, those were the midwives. Those were the people that you relied on to help you birth a baby, or to, mend a broken leg, or to sew up a laceration, or, to take down a fever, everything, anything. It's like, those were the doctors, those were the healers.
Yeah.
And also, the people who would read the language of the stars. Astrology is the oldest science on our planet. And people think it's like woo-woo and crazy. And like, that's fine. Some people can have their opinion about that. But we've got just one tiny rock floating around us that we call the moon. And it controls the tides. And the planet is about 70% water, which is the same percent as our bodies. So if you think that the moon that controls all of that water isn't affecting all the water inside of you, like, you're tripping. So, so then these other larger planetary bodies, it's like there's so much going on that we just don't know, that we've forgotten about. So, of course, there were these people throughout time, healers, doctors, wise women or men, medicine men, in Mexico and in the tribes in the Amazon, there's people of all genders still.
So it's happening all over the world.
Of course.
Okay, cool.
Because there was nothing.
I didn't know if there was like a mecca for it, and it like.
No.
Okay.
like the Dogon tribes, Egyptians. I mean, there's been thousands of ancient civilizations, and this is how we all evolved. What happened is that when the ancient Jews, right, the Old Testament is Judaism, and then became Christianity and went into the New Testament, and then the Roman Empire that was in control at the time went colonizing and spread out and spread all over Europe at the very least, and into sub-Saharan Africa, and then like the Middle East obviously became Muslim, and so that was more on the Prophet Muhammad. That wasn't as much on the Jesus train as the European area. But yeah, it was like, okay, well, we want to control people. We want to take their money. We want them to rely on us and not be self-sufficient. And so there were, I mean, God, we could spend the whole podcast just talking about this. But there were just like many, many, many different things that happened throughout the next couple of hundred, maybe about, like actually around 1,000 years, from like 200 or 300 AD into 1300, where it was like just progressively getting worse and worse to be a local healer. And it was like, no, you need to just pray to God. You just pray to the Father. And another thing that I find really interesting is that in most pagan traditions, there's not just one. It's both. It's two. It's the mother and the father. It's what we need to create life. We need both sides. We need the yin and the yang. That's what balance is. And so in what was the pagan tradition of like Europe and the British Isles, there was what you would call a horned god, because like we were just talking about with the shape of the hat, that's also the shape of a masculine skull of like a bull or a ram or a like a cow or a sheep. And those are the two animals that you actually don't have to kill in order for them to nourish you, because you can drink their milk, you can make cheese. Oh my God. So it's this eternal nourishment and yes, like sustenance that can be provided by these animals, which is why they've been sacred throughout time to different peoples. So that shape is the womb. And so that was, oh my God. Yeah, so that was the horned god, was the goddess's husband, or like the father. And what the church did was kill the goddess, like no more mother, that doesn't exist. Turn the goddess into God, the father, and turn the father, who was the horned god, into the devil.
Oh.
That's who the horned god is, with his hooves. And it's like, no, he used to be the father and she was the mother, and now it's the father and the devil.
Wow. So should I go befriend the devil?
That's so weird. But is
very interesting.
But is there, okay, wait. So originally,
should I, or is that a bad thing?
Not yet. Don't do it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But originally, witches, the foundation of it started out as like the healers, and then because when people think about witches, they really only think like not really only, but like most people are like, oh, Salem witch trials, all that stuff, and there's that media portrayal of them. But originally, they started like as healers of your tribe, your community, and stuff like that.
And they were your doctors. They were the one who helped you bring your baby into
So what's
the world.
The difference between that and then the Salem ones? Same thing?
So there are a lot of different accounts about the Salem witch trials. I don't know if have you ever done breath work?
No.
I have.
Okay. Have you ever had an experience that kind of like might look a little exorcism-y?
Not exorcism-y, but I definitely had like a more psychedelic experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in my experience, I really like go for it in breath work. And so I've had moments where like my hands have curled up.
Yeah.
And I've had moments where I'm like arched like this and energy's moving through me. And it's like, that could
I've been pinned to the floor.
Yeah.
With the lobster hands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just your breath.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that there were a lot of misconceptions, and especially by the 1600s, a book called Maleficus Maleficarum, the Hammer of Witches, had come out, and the printing press had been invented around 1500, and the first book that was printed was the Bible. So especially like the King James version of the Bible, any version of the Bible, every version of the Bible has been changed and transformed.
Right.
The metaphor has been altered. The words that were originally written in Aramaic have been translated and mistranslated, like how the Holy Spirit, that word was originally air. That word meant wind or air in Aramaic. And so now we've like, it's the wind and now it's the spirit. So like I said, we could spend hours on this. There's and there are a lot of other witches that know even more about this than I do. And so, I mean, and I know a lot. So the Bible was changed to support the current regime. It's like what we say goes, this is what's evil. And even the word witchcraft was then taken to mean, it was funny, we started with manipulation, like that equals manipulation. It was like the words were changed in the Bible to make witchcraft means you're being manipulated, as opposed to crafting one's wisdom is what allows them to know how to heal, to support you with plants and medicine, to divine the information from the stars, to hear what we're supposed to be doing with our crops, whatever the case may be. So then this Bible is the only thing that's put out. And simultaneously, there's not a lot of people that can read because there's never really been that much use for them to read. And then all of a sudden it's only this book. And then the next book was this witch's hammer. It's all about like how to find witches, how to hunt them, what you should do to them.
God.
And even in the Old Testament, again, words could have been changed, but in the Old Testament of the Jewish tradition, it says like that if you find a witch, especially in your family, not only are you permitted to kill them, but you're encouraged to, and you should be proud if it's like your wife or your sister or your daughter and you find this out about them.
Why am I like getting relations to like, okay, the same with like same sex or like gay people or like the gay community and how the Bible has, you know, how people use that to like kill someone in your family if they're gay. You know what I'm saying?
This
like,
all goes back to control. Like it really does. And it makes me so mad. Like this all goes back to people trying to control people.
Wow.
Yeah, because if people are sovereign unto themselves, then you can't control them.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there's...
So then with stuff like, because I'm just thinking about like media and stuff like that, like with Halloween and stuff like that, does that even, is that like
Halloween was a Sabbath.
What does that mean?
It's a high holy day in the wheel of the year would have been the like where your celebrations would have been. So if you divide the year into fours, you've got the 2 solstices, the shortest and longest days of the year, and the 2 equinoxes, the days of equal length. And then you've got halfway points between them. And so we celebrate the winter solstice. That was originally like the highest of holy days in the pagan traditions because the sun is returning. So it's like it's been dark, it's winter, especially in like northern, you know, like in England and Sweden where it's dark all day, you know, not in England, but in Sweden. And so the winter solstice was one of the highest holy days. What do we celebrate right around the winter solstice?
Oh, okay. Okay. Wait, is it
Christmas?
Christmas. I'm like Halloween.
Sun.
Yeah.
The sun.
Okay.
The sun has been born.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's 4 days or about, it depends. Some days it's on the 20th. Some days it's on the 21st. Some years. But yeah, so we celebrate that then instead. Ostara is Easter. That's a pagan holiday that was about the goddess. It's about springtime. It's the center point between the, Ostara is the spring equinox. But now we've shifted it to be like a week or so later, and now it's about this resurrection. Well, yeah, it was about spring coming after winter, about the flowers blossoming and the fruit trees gaining their leaves again. It's like...
The Christian church really just slapped something. Like, they're like, this is it.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't happen like overnight, you know? I went to Crete last year, which is an island in the southern Mediterranean Sea off of Greece, and there was this gorgeous temple to Artemis, their mother goddess, their moon goddess of forests and children and the earth. And guess what's standing there now? The Church of the 99 Fathers. And when you look at the squares in the church, there are pictures and words to her, and it's literally built with the stones of the temple to the goddess. And so they would just put churches on top of pagan worship sites so that then when people came to worship, it's like, there's just a church here now. So this is what you're doing. Oh, you wanted to worship the goddess? Tough shit. We worship Jesus here. See how he's suffering? See him in blood? It's like, you know, as opposed to the full spectrum of life, which is all of those things.
So all the holidays and seasons and stuff were originally like
Not all. Halloween, yes, is Samhain, which is halfway between the fall equinox and the winter solstice.
And is that still that's an important
Totally.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's like
it's the
not a media
veils.
thing. That is like important with witches and everything like that. Okay.
Had a different name, but yeah, it's because the veil is thinnest. It's like the sun has been vibrant and alive for this whole time, and now we've just hit that equal day. So now we're moving back into, well, we've already moved towards like the shorter days and longer nights, but now it's like the nights are longer than the day. So this is this sort of in between time
Transition.
Exactly. And the transitory times, which is why on the wheel of the year and in pagan traditions you mark those halfway points, is because they've always been thought to be an extra magical moment. And so that's why a Day of the Dead in Mexico is what it is because it's like, oh, your ancestors are here. This is this time where the veil is thin, where you can connect with the spirits who have passed, because we're entering into this darkness, into the winter, into the night.
Wow.
God, I had no idea about all this history. When did you learn about all of this history?
I like to read. I'm a Gemini. So yeah, I read everything. And it just became really apparent to me. Even like when one of my favorite books is called Alphabet versus the Goddess, and it's like how the sex of God was changed. And even when you look at our brains and our neural pathways and how we function, when language was pictographic or hieroglyphic, you see this, like even your sign up there. If you just had a heart and that was supposed to mean it's only love, it's like love. It can be interpreted as all these things. It's like, this is the heart. Here we go. Bird. This means bird. Like dog, even your nails. Like this means happiness. This means sadness. Like this means fun, you know? So that's a totally different part of our brains that processes imagery than, oh, this symbol and then this symbol and then this symbol and then this symbol all together make this word. But if you change the entire order, then it makes a different word and it means something completely different. And like all of that is super abstract. And so that actually made our communication switch sides of our brain as well. So we went from being very much more in our feminine, right-brained, like creative, because you interpret, oh, bird means bird. Like this is a bird, that's a bird. Okay, this means bird. But then when we switched over and it's all abstract, and it's like, oh, okay, these little random lines mean this all of a sudden. I didn't know that they meant that before. And actually the lines of this language mean something completely different than the lines of that language, and nobody can communicate with each other. It's like uses an entirely different part of your brain as well. So that was a huge way that we were manipulated and changed, and then of course like taught to read with the Bible and these witches' hammer books. It's like all
So fuck. I'm like, what do I know anymore?
Well, that's the point. Like that, you asked when witchcraft came, when did I start studying? Is that was what happened to me, is that I just couldn't unsee things anymore.
Oh, that's okay.
It became so clear.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to be a witch in your own words? Like what does that embody?
From my perspective, it's just cultivating whatever the strongest and most impactful relationship to the divine or the creative source and force of the universe is for you, by harnessing your own innate energy, right? Like we all have the capacity to move, to take action, to connect with people, to go swim in the ocean or not, and harnessing that and listening to your body, to the earth, connecting with nature that gives us everything. We forget. We sit in apartments, we put up walls and borders to each other and say like, this is mine, this is yours. And truly living from a state of wisdom is knowing that that is all an illusion. None of that shit is real. It's not real. And utilizing that awareness to then create an empowered relationship with your reality, with other people, with how you function in society, with what you do and serve and how you give your gifts, and ultimately how you want to make your dreams come true. Hopefully with my desire is for us all to do that in a way that makes the planet better and heals our souls and makes us all happier, as opposed to just like materialistic gains and desires.
I mean, I think with today's society, we've built it's like a capitalist world, and it's material. We need this, you need better, you're not enough. It's just like we built a world to distract us in this rat race, and we truly are so disconnected from the earth. Like, you know, there's days where my feet don't even touch the grass, and that's how we were originally put on this earth to be. Like, we're one with it. And so we're truly like disconnected and disassociated. And so I feel like in a way, collectively, we're just so far away from like our home and how we're here, you know? It's so interesting. Like, do you find that too? Like, I just, with everything going on in the world and all the, it's a chaotic almost.
Yeah.
Like, do you see this turning around and getting better? Because also I feel like, you know, we're built to survive. We're reaching a point where we quite literally have to change.
Yeah.
You know, and I think collectively our consciousness we have to wake up in order to survive.
Well, I almost feel like it's slowly happening, because it's like, you know, we had on a lawyer that works in psychedelic drug reform, and they're pushing that hard for here to decriminalize it, and then get it to where not only is it decriminalized, but it's encouraged to grow and share within your community. And so, and because she was like, you know, imagine if everybody was like on the same page, especially in this country. And I was like, yeah. So I feel like it's, I don't know, I'm hopeful like it's like a slow thing, but it is happening. It's like we started off backwards, and it's like slowly getting to the point where more people are on the same page than not. I mean, there are still like swamp people that like I like to call in the South almost, but like it's just like, I feel like maybe, but also I don't know.
Well, I just think
We're in a bubble.
Yeah.
LA is a bubble.
Oh, I'm from Arkansas. We're both from Arkansas, and I actually live in Colorado. But yeah, like I've noticed that
this is a bubble.
But
it is a bubble.
Even like places where, do you live in Boulder?
Denver.
Okay, yeah. So like even that's a fairly progressive city.
Yeah,
so
and then you go outside of that, and it's like,
and there are more people there that are on the same page, and there are places where there are less people on the same page. And the thing about nature that happened is because of the, you know, regulations to keep people from being sovereign, right? If you were caught outside gathering herbs to heal yourself or your family, you were tortured and killed.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's these witch hunts, the witch trials, the witch burnings that were happening for literally hundreds, probably over 1,000, like 1,200, because they were definitely happening. Pagans and indigenous peoples, the indigenous peoples of Europe were being killed by the ancient Jews first, then those became the Christians, and then they were killing pagan people, and pagan just meant like outside of the, you know, it was like indigenous people. It's like, look what we did here in the Americas. It happened more recently, but okay, Cortez and all the dudes flew in or sailed into South America, and Columbus came here, and we just wiped out the indigenous populations, killed them, took their spiritual beliefs and systems, took their livelihoods. Like, you can't grow whatever, like, oh no, now you're going to grow this. I mean, the reservations that I've been close to and had relation with, the darkness of the oppression and the torment of the souls in those places that used to be the closest to the earth, that knew the most. Every eagle that passed by, every salmon that jumped had a message and was to be revered and to be honored. Those people, we white people and our ancestors took that from them, and that is what has happened all over the world. And so we have become afraid of nature, of our own wild and primal nature, because if you were caught out there, it was like, you're a witch and we're going to kill you. And a lot of these, I've read a lot about the torture, and you know, a lot of these scenes would be like, they'd use this torture device, like a burning hot rod inside of someone's body, whatever orifice they felt was horrific enough. And then they would bring them into a courtroom with their skirts back down over them and say like, okay, we're going to put her on this iron chair, and if she screams, she's a witch, but she's been violated beyond possible belief, and so you sit her down on this chair and she screams, like, of course. And then they're like, she's a witch. And there were ones where they would do these drownings where they would, I don't know why I'm laughing about it, it's not funny at all, but it's just like, this is how we got here. It's just like
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would be like, okay, if she sinks, we're going to tie her to this chair or a weight or, you know, an anvil. And if she sinks, she's innocent. But if she floats, she's a witch. So then we kill her anyways.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, this is what was happening. And that's how people got afraid to be out in nature, because it wasn't safe. And so that's, I live on 3 acres up in the mountains surrounded by owls and coyotes and bunnies in my yard every morning. And it's amazing. And even for me, like, it's been 150 degrees outside every day. And I said to my partner yesterday, I was like, baby, I can't be in Topanga for the next 2 months. And we just got back from 3 weeks in Europe. And I was like, I need to go rent a house in Montana or somewhere. I need to be by a river every single day because we need water. Like, we need water to survive. And what we're doing to the planet is also totally depleting our resources for water, which is our emotions, right? So we suppress our emotions and suppress our pleasure and make it shameful and make it only like something to be sold to people. But don't be too powerful. Don't actually enjoy your sexuality. Just show it off to other people. But then if they want you, like, you're the one who's asking for it. It's just all so fucked up. And
wait, I've been saying that our reality, like, is a mirror of what's going on internally, but like all of your parallels to like what's going on an earthly scale and how it's going on internally, it makes so much sense. Like with all of like the climate change and the chaos happening in the world, like that's because there's so much going on within us.
Yeah, because we've been stripped from who and how we used to be and always were. We don't even remember. And the word remember is literally to like put back together again. These are your members, right? Your legs, your arms, like to remember is to put yourself back together again.
Oh my God. Yeah, like this life is all about remembering who you are.
Wow.
So
This is a lot. An integration intermission.
Wow. Yeah. So can anyone be a part of it? Like anyone
For
be a witch?
sure.
Okay.
Everyone, go put your bare feet on the earth. Go swim in the ocean. Like take a dip in a lake or a river. Sing a song outside. Like that's it.
Okay, then that reminds me.
You don't have to do anything. You have to just let go of the things that are keeping you from being who you truly are.
So is there a difference between Wiccan and witch?
So Wiccan is it's same word, like Wicce was the same witchy in like ancient, like old Germanic was what became witch, how we spell it in English, and Wicca. Like I personally don't identify with Wicca. That would be like saying I'm Baptist or I'm Protestant. It's like
what's the difference?
It's just a label of a particular type of practicing more pagan or earth-based spiritual person. It's just not.
Oh yeah.
I just don't subscribe to any labels, especially because I got into spirituality and witchcraft through metaphysics and spirit science and conspiracy theories. Even that, like conspire, con is with, spirare means breath. So to conspire, to be in a conspiracy was like breathing life into each other, breathing together. And then
so
look
they're
at what
like,
we've made into conspiracy. And some of them are true. Some of them are crazy. Some of them are really out there. And it's just like, oh, honey, you're just putting us
really
in the
trying.
wrong direction.
Yeah.
This is not helpful. But some of them are actually like the air is our mind. It's our intellect. Some of them are to like breathe new thought into us to help us see more clearly.
Oh, breathe new thought. Wow, I love all of this so much. So are there different types of witches? He's like, obviously.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Or like witchcraft.
Yeah. Like I would be, I mean, I don't like labels, but I would be an eclectic witch because I just kind of take from what works for me. And some days I make potions and some days I use my psychic. I'm a life coach for like, that's what I did for work for the last 8 years. Yeah, before I only started doing online courses last year. That just happened in a perfect year for the pandemic. But I had been a one-on-one coach for 8 years before that. And so
just a normal like life coach, or like were you like doing like your
normal?
No, but I mean like
spiritual stuff involved.
Deep reprogramming, like guaranteed life transformation in 3 months, just completely rewiring the way that your brain system works and giving, you have to take action. So a big part of my work is downloading whatever the goddess wants me to share with that person's soul and assigning them edge pushing, comfort zone bursting things so that then they can keep stepping forward every day or every week and by the end have accomplished, at the very least, embodying who they really want to be.
Yeah. There's this idea, or maybe it's just my idea, that like witches are typically more like mystical or
dark.
Like not dark, but have more abilities, if that makes sense, like psychic abilities or medium abilities.
They've just cultivated them.
Yes.
Everybody has them.
Yeah.
Everyone has them.
Okay.
Everybody has spiritual gifts.
Yeah.
Every single person on the planet. It's just like, What kind of water are you drinking? What kind of food are you eating? What kind of thoughts are you thinking? What kind of music are you listening to? How do you tend to your body? How do you relate to your community? It's like there are, is your community a bunch of like super depressed, low energy, like everything fucking sucks? Well, that's feeding you too. That's soul nourishment. Is it actually nourishing or is it draining you?
Yeah.
It's like it's
like how connected are you?
Yeah. I had a date one time with a girl, not that kind of date, like a friend, friend date. And we literally just sat across from each other at this table trying to move a spoon back and forth, And it was like, yeah, let's just try. Check out telekinesis. That's not really my gift. I've made someone levitate one time.
What?
Yeah.
Wait. Oh my God.
What? How?
Wait, so there's
We
people
did a
that can
whole big,
actually do
beautiful ceremony.
telekinesis?
Girl, of course.
That's my biggest dream.
Wow.
Okay, but wait, this is so good right now. Why?
Because I think that's amazing.
But why? Why would that be
know.
that? If you experienced that, what would that prove to you? Or what would that give you?
I'm like, my first thing is like that magic is real.
Exactly.
I don't know. Okay.
That's the thing. Sometimes we want like a gift or a car
prove.
or whatever to be like, oh, this means that then I'm
To validate.
yeah. I'm enough. I'm right. But when it's that, and it's like, I want this because that will show me the truth.
You're not going to get it.
Well, no, of course you will.
But is that the right intention behind it?
I think that, okay, so this is like, this is more like the kind of conversation we would have one-on-one. But basically, if your intention is, like you said, to prove it, like, oh, I'm going to, like, this has to happen so that I can prove it to myself. No, you're right.
Right.
It's like, because in the energy of saying you have to prove it, that's lack. That's like scarcity.
Yeah.
That's like
need
of it. But if you saw it happen and the result was, I know now that magic is real.
And I can change my life.
Exactly.
That's kind of what I was talking about.
Then you have this motivation and you have this inspiration and this fuel to your
It's
fire
like,
now
this
to
is
keep
the
cultivating.
path that I want to go down.
Yeah.
Like kind of vibe.
Yeah, but when you're doing something to prove, at least in my experience, it does not work.
So you've mentioned potions and everything. So that's a thing. Like there's not like.
Well, it's herbal medicine.
Okay. So but
Look
you
at
know
all those yogi teas that are like, this is the slim detox, or like this is the throat coat, or this is for this. Da, 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 da. It's like they're made of plant. It's tea.
Yeah.
It's like dried
so
herbs.
that's a potion.
Yeah, of course. Your tea every morning is a potion. Your like cacao is a potion.
Well, like people like in the way media portrays it, it's like like a lamb's
steaming
right toe or something like that, or like your aunt's hair.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's not. It's more. It's just plant based.
I mean, it can be. Like, I'm sure there are like some deep tantric rituals that involve moon blood and semen, or like for divine union, like fully bringing your seeds together. There are all. I mean, there are all kinds of things. Like I said, I'm just one kind of witch.
Are there bad witches?
I think there are bad everything.
So what are bad witches?
It's the same as bad people.
Just manipulating in negative ways.
But like, are they called something?
I mean, I personally wouldn't even call those people witches because they're not utilizing their wisdom.
Right, because witches are not a negative
reflection
thing.
of everything, and everything's going to come back to you that you put out. You would never be doing things like that.
What are things that bad witches do?
Can you like wish ill upon someone else?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you can do like bad potions or like.
I mean, you could definitely poison people, like that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could, I don't know, like putting just bad vibes and bad juju and bad energy towards someone. If a scorned woman is like, fuck that girl that my new boyfriend or that my boyfriend likes now, and even just doing
people,
that is
basically.
like sending bad vibes to her. But theoretically, from my perspective, if that woman, this new woman, is in integrity in the way that she's showing up in the relationship, if like she wasn't hooking up with him before they broke up and she knew he had a partner and she was like just trying to seduce him anyways, like in that case, then she's karmically attracting that girl's bad vibes, right? Because she already knew. But if she's fully in integrity and she just met this man who's newly single and they fell in love and it's like, this is just what happened. I wasn't expecting it, which is actually what happened with my partner and I. His partner's amazing, or his ex-partner. I've never met her, but I know she's not like putting bad vibes on me. But even if she were, which she's not, but even if she were, that's going to bounce off of me because that's her shit, not mine. I came into the partnership in integrity, right?
Oh.
Are there like no-nos in the witch community?
Involving anyone else. That would be considered black magic, unless you have their explicit permission. Like if I was going to if you were like, well, no, because if you asked me, then it would not be the same. But like, if I wanted my partner just turned 30 and I was like, I'm not going to tell him, but I'm going to get him on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. And I'm going to like do these spells and, have these mantras and do this, da, 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 da. Even if my intention is good, I want to support him. I love him. He's crushing it in business. I'm going to share his magic with the world. If I don't get his explicit permission or he didn't ask me to do that, I am affecting his will. I'm affecting his reality. I'm placing my energy into his sphere of his reality. And that's black magic. Doesn't mean that my intention isn't in the right place, but it's just an unintentional use of black magic.
What happens when you
what are
do
the consequences of that? Like messing with energy?
It depends. I accidentally did that with a client once. And it wasn't like anything bad happened, but there was definitely ripples in our relationship that were really challenging. And we had sort of a break for a little bit of time. And it was very sad. It was sad that I had accidentally utilized my power. I didn't even say his name. I didn't specifically. Yeah.
Damn, so you gotta be careful. I didn't even realize.
Totally. Because your magic is for you. It's for you. It's for the earth. It's for your impact on the planet. It's like, how can I be a greater vessel for the goddess or the source of the universe or for truth or for love, whatever your sort of North Star, your highest iteration is. And as long as that's what you're doing, then you have this opportunity to be more effective and impactful. Like for me, everything I do is for the earth. Everything.
Wow.
I am here to speak the words that she asks me to speak. I literally, even as fancy as I am and bougie as I am, sometimes I'm a Gemini. I'm half and half. Either naked and primal in the woods, swimming in rivers, or doing my little luxury thing. But everything I buy is used or sustainable. I only shop at the farmers markets. If my partner wants to go grocery shopping and he wants to go to the store, fine, bless you, but I don't go there.
Yeah.
Unless it's I absolutely have to for some reason, if I'm supposed to go to a potluck and I didn't get something and the farmer's market isn't open right then. But I would prefer to support local artisans. I don't buy plastic at the farmer's market. If it doesn't come in glass or, aluminum foil, I'm not going to buy it because this is going to be here for the next 1,200 years. And it's just for me to have pesto for a couple of minutes, which I could make in my fucking Vitamix, which I also got used and refurbished from the Vitamix website.
Oh, same, yeah.
So that's a big thing for me. I got, I wanted a cloud couch. My partner's like, I can't believe you want to spend $20,000 on a couch. This
oh my
is so
God,
stupid.
from
Restoration Hardware.
God damn.
So I found a used one and I dyed it. I had a TaskRabbit come over and dye it emerald green for me because that's what I wanted,
Wow,
So it's
there's ways to have it both.
Exactly. You can have everything you want. And, and then if I do have to buy something new, I'll order it from Etsy, even kids' toys and things, so that I'm supporting a small local, I saw your cool bed linens in there, you can get dope linens from Etsy that are made in an ethical flax, whatever, in Bulgaria, you know?
Yeah.
And so that for me is such a huge part of everything that I'm doing is that in order to manifest, in order to call in things to your life, if you want them to actually satisfy you, you can attract money, right? Mm-hmm. But if you aren't in integrity, it's going to be really hard to enjoy it, or it's going to get lost.
Oh my God.
People who win the lottery and then they're like, I actually wish that hadn't happened because it ruined my life.
Oh, wow.
So for me, that the more I am committed to my sort of my morals around being kind to the earth, the more money I make and the easier it gets. And I have to do even less. And she's like, here, more abundance, more abundance, more abundance. I'm like, yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's the flow. Yeah.
Because she feels that I care for her, that it's not about the extractive abundance.
It's not about you.
Let me suck out the oil and let me drain every river and let me find every metal.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you talk about ethically sourcing things. What about is there a way to ethically source white sage and all of that?
Oof. I would highly recommend not. Yeah, white sage, even in the indigenous traditions, it's supposed to stay where it is because it's healing and cleansing the land. That's why it's there.
Is white sage what people use to do this?
Yeah. And most of that is being wild harvested, and then they're charging you $20 or $30 for it, and they just somebody went out and gathered it for free.
Sage is not Is that what
Yeah, I would recommend using things like cedar because you can pull it off of the branch of a cedar tree without killing the tree. Like the tree is going to keep growing. Sweetgrass is a really great option. Sweetgrass has been, if you haven't read Braiding Sweetgrass, I highly recommend anyone interested in like OG old world witchcraft and just herbalism and plants. And it's one of my favorite books of all time. It's so spectacular. It's a love letter to the earth. And this woman who wrote it is an indigenous woman and also a scientist. And she did studies on sweetgrass and the plants that were picked like sustainably, not like, wiped out, but but picked gently by hand, knowing, we're going to go and be used as offerings. Those plants actually grew stronger and better the following year than the ones that hadn't been picked and the ones that had been like just fully harvested. So I think that it's really important to be just aware of what you're using. The same as like Palo Santo. When Palo Santo was first being used, it would actually, like the real thick resin, the ones that will really like smoke up a room, actually only comes from the trees that have already fallen. And so they've started to decay, and that's what makes the resin thicker. But now they're cutting down the trees, and then it's like this very baby, that's the like kind of dry ones that don't have a lot of smoke and resin in them. Things like copal and frankincense that you can harvest either yourself from different types of pine trees. Those are just resins. So you can find, like, even just pine resin is so great. You can like go to Idlewild or Tahoe or wherever and literally like pick sap off of trees and, roll it into a little ball. You can get sap off your fingers very easily with coconut oil. And then like you have it and you can put it on a little incense coal, and then it's completely sustainable. You harvested it yourself, which to me makes it so much more magical. And then you can, if you have like an incense holder like this, and you can just like waft it around your house and do the smoking thing instead of like holding the sage.
Oh, okay. Damn. Do you have like a favorite, or spells? Is that a thing?
Yeah, of course.
Do you have a favorite?
I mean, the best spell I ever used was definitely the love spell that I used to manifest my partner.
Why? What is that?
It's so good and secret that I can't.
No, I need it.
I know. Okay, well, I'll give you the...
Did you make it up, or who taught you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you made it up.
Yeah. So the most important part of the spell is to start doing the things that you project into your reality. A man or whatever gender partner you're looking for will do for you or will like fill in your life. So for me, I was living with my friend Layla in her guest room, in her like beautiful priestess palace. And it was super sexy, but it wasn't my home. It was her home. And so there was this moment where I'd been celibate for 3 years, doing deep tantra work, really studying my own desires and feelings.
Does that exclude masturbating?
Yeah, just no sex or dating or
for
kissing.
For 3 years?
Almost, yeah. It was like 2 years and 8 months. Fuck. Yeah. It was so good because anyone who's not a fucking king and like not ready, prepared to worship at the temple, like bye. I don't have time for that.
Yeah, because that's an
like
energy exchange too.
No, you can masturbate.
Oh, I thought.
Well, yeah. She's saying excluding.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, masturbating is allowed.
Okay.
I was doing tons of sex magic, like so many rituals. I mean, I find owls all the time, and I found this one perfect pair of male owl wings. The females have spots on the inside, and the males have no spots. And it was the first male I'd ever found, and I like treated the wings so perfectly. They were like fully extended. They were the most perfect pair of wings I'd ever found. Or like I found the owl and I made the wings like that. I mean, God made the wings, but you know what I mean? And I put them outside one day. I did this whole ritual to the horned god, to the masculine god. And the next morning, the wings were gone. Like they had disappeared. And there's no like meat on them. No animal would eat them. Like the green man or the nature god literally took them back. So that was a big part of my time, was just like being really focused in ritual. But the key that I'll tell you, that this is what made the spell come true. Like the spell itself is great, but I realized, okay, I'm like living at Layla's house. This is cool. But what do I expect of a man? I expect a man to have his own big, beautiful home to like welcome me into, to host me. Like that's an important thing that I project as something a man would have. So I was like, well, if I don't have that, how am I supposed to find someone who's going to have that himself? Like maybe I should do that. And so that was one of the big steps that I took, is I signed a lease on a 4-bedroom house in Topanga by myself. Like,
wow.
Yeah, it just was like, I'm doing this. This has to happen. And it was a big step for me. It was the most money I'd ever spent on anything, like rented to pay ain't cheap.
Yeah.
And because I was doing it by myself, he made me pay like 4 months rent up front. So I was like,
fuck.
And then I kept doing my work on myself, kept looking at what are the other beliefs, like, okay, well, what else do I think about a man? Well, he needs to have like, structure and discipline. So when I was in that house, I was just like being much better about my structure, my discipline, about work, about scheduling, about being on my practice, making sure that I'm doing my meditation and my And then I did have a feng shui consultant, shout out to Nixie Marie, come over and tell me all the directional energies of my home. And then I feng shuied the whole house for love and money. And I met him a month after I moved in.
What? Well, I'm about to rearrange.
Yeah, it's good. You want to make space. Like the biggest thing about feng shui for partnership is balance. So you want like 2 nightstands, like the full sinks set up so that like his sink is set up for him when he comes, and like this is my sink.
Oh, so your house is basically ready for him to just like a partner to just move in.
Oh, it was, yeah.
And that was the man.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, how do you perform a spell? Like how, or like,
God,
is it like,
so
is it
many
every
different
night
ways.
or like,
How
is
do
it
you perform
once? Is it
This
a
one
ceremony?
I did engage with. I did ceremonies with it. I did engage with it on a daily basis. Like the physical manifestation of the spell, I carried with me all the time.
Like written down?
Actually,
Is it still with you?
You have it?
I was going to need this.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
but don't show the camera. I'm just going to show you guys.
Oh my God. You drew him before you knew him.
Yeah.
What? So this is like major manifesting.
Yeah.
Wow. You are safe.
Yeah, and that was actually the first thing he said to me when we made love.
What?
I'm doing this.
Yeah, it's the best.
I love this so much. Wow.
Yeah, I gotta see this guy.
I mean, this is us in Croatia, but that's him.
Oh shit! What? He's hot as fuck.
Oh my
That is the person in the drawing.
I drew that 8 months before I even met him.
Oh my, he's hot.
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
He's a hot.
He's fine.
And he's 6'5", and he's ripped just like this.
Oh my God. Wow. I'm doing this like tonight.
Yeah. But the biggest thing is that he's a king. He will say that he's a goddess on the inside. He is a worshiper. He is here to save the fucking planet. He's like owns 3 companies that are all about mental health and well-being and transforming our relationship to technology and psychedelic therapy. And yeah, he's just like a fucking boss. And he's kind. He's just the kindest, sweetest person that anyone's ever met.
Do you have friends?
Yeah.
They look like that?
Some of them.
Let me know.
Yeah, I'll take my ass to Topanga real fast.
I'll figure it out. Damn. He sounds amazing.
He's the best.
Okay, so I'm looking at witching and witchcraft and this whole thing so differently. It's so not what I was thinking.
Well, this is
absolutely
my
not.
perspective on it.
But I like it.
Yeah, of course. I think that that's why I am doing as well as I am in terms of sharing the craft, is because it's not exclusive. Like, that's why I don't resonate with Wicca personally, is because I've read some Wiccan books and they're like, this is how you have to do this, and this is how you have to do this, and this is the way that you say this, and the spell has to be done with these words. I'm just like, there's no spell that anyone else could ever give you that will be as powerful as one you create yourself.
Wow.
Because the words mean something different to you. Your experience is different than the person who wrote that spell. The moment, the moon, whatever the energy is, like the way you're feeling is all going to impact the spell. So if someone else gives you a spell, it's like this has no skin in the game.
So there's no like spell for like headaches.
I mean, you can use acupressure points and you can use peppermint oil and you can talk to the headache. You know, you can ask it what it's doing there. Like, why are you here? One of my favorite magical practices is to do channeled writing. And that's literally just, you know, if it was, say, your headache. Dear headache, please write to me, through me, anything I meant to receive in this moment. Or dear pain in my head, please write to me, through me, anything I meant to receive in this moment. Or please let me know why it is that you're here. What can I do for you? What do you need?
Awareness.
Yeah.
One time I went to like a book, it's like a spell shop, and I opened up one of the books of spells, and it was like spell for a headache, and it was abracadabra. This is so stupid now that I'm saying it, but maybe it's not. It was like abracadabra, and then and then like they would just remove one letter until it was finally just A, and then your headache was gone or something.
Well, that I'm calling it a mnemonic, but that's not right. That's
Is abracadabra even a thing?
Yeah, what does abracadabra
that
mean?
in Aramaic means I create as I speak.
Oh.
That's why it's a magical word. It's a real magical word. It's claiming your creation of your reality.
So do you say that? Is that what I just said? Does that sound dumb?
It's the password to my Wi-Fi.
Wow, that's cute. Okay.
Cute.
So with what I just said, does that sound normal, or is that?
I mean, it's one way of doing it. That's the
Okay.
thing. Like, that's why I always encourage people to cultivate their own relationship to it, is because I just don't, like, I don't want to tell someone something that then doesn't work for them. Like, I've studied a lot of Kabbalah, and it's just not really my thing. I'm just like not really into it. I've tried, but like so many magical lineages have deep basis in Kabbalah and are like, oh, well, these are the spheres and this is the Sephiro, but they're almost all masculine. There's 2 feminine spheres. Even the moon sphere is masculine. And I'm just like, this is bullshit. This is not real balance. So, okay, great. It's this like ages old magical tradition. And I totally like bless the people that are super into it, and I fully support everyone utilizing whatever tools work for them. It doesn't work for me. I'm not into it, you know?
Right.
And I've read one of my first magical teachers, again, one of the first witchy things that my friend Lauren brought me to do was 5-MeO DMT, taking toad medicine. And one of the books that the wizard shaman recommended was The Mystical Kabbalah by Dion Fortune. And I had been waiting years to read it, and I finally picked it up, and I'm just like in the first couple of chapters, and she's like, this is the true way for the initiate to reach, you know, X, Y, or Z. This is the only true path, da-da-da. And when I hear that, I just shut down.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're telling me this is the only true path, I just know for a fact that's not true. Because I got Buddhist friends, and I got tantric friends, and I got Bhakti, Hindu, Hanuman friends, and they all have different relationships to enlightenment, and they all have different codes and different gifts and different things that light them up and make them happy. And it's like, why would I think that this thing is going to be better for that person if this thing is actually what makes them happy and makes them feel closer to God?
Yeah, they also have like a completely different background, like heritage, like ancestral things, like experience are completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some spells work for some people and some spells don't.
Okay.
You know?
Well, you mentioned like the owls earlier. So is animal sacrificing a thing or no?
I mean, not for me.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
plant-based, so no.
Okay. Oh, so you're vegan?
I'm not vegan, but
Okay.
I occasionally, very rarely eat cheese. It's been really like a big thing for all of the vegan stuff in my life because I don't agree with the dairy industry. So that's like one of my things. I would only buy like local farmers market cheese, and usually only sheep or goat because they don't usually take the babies away like they do in a cow dairy farming. They literally like take the babies away so that we can drink the milk, and then the babies eat formula, and then the baby's gut and natural biome is all fucked up. So like that I try really hard to avoid, even though cheese is probably one of my favorite things.
It's so funny. I feel like most vegans say that, like, or most people are like, I can never give up cheese. And I've never had like I don't really care about cheese.
That's
it's
nice.
interesting.
Yeah, that's nice. And my dad's a hunter, like I said. And so when I go home and my dad has had this spiritual experience with our 6 dogs who, stay out silently for 5 hours in the morning with him, waiting until the one duck that he shoots comes down. And then he says the one name of the one dog that's supposed to go get it. And it's this deep, ancient, primal thing that my dad does. And so I will eat that because that animal has lived the life that it was divinely designed to do. It didn't, live its life in a cage and then get killed for my satisfaction. So I'm totally okay with that. I had a friend of mine killed a deer a few months ago and used every part of it. I can't remember. They did something with the bones too, but he like tanned the hide, with the brain, I think he made like dog food or something out of the entrails. Like he just used the entire thing and made this gorgeous deer tagine, and I ate some of it and it was delightful because it's how it's supposed to be. But like I don't really miss meat ever. I just don't really.
Yeah.
And so I don't animal sacrifice. The animals that I find, I have found many dead animals, and I do.
You just find them dead?
Yes.
Okay. Well, because you
roadkill.
mentioned like the wings, and you're like,
Yeah,
and I was like,
I find owls.
I just never find dead owls. So
Yeah, they get hit by trucks on big freeways.
And then you find, okay.
And then you find them, and then, yeah, I have, I just clip the wings and then bury I like to keep the feet, too. They're so cool. They've got, like, long talons.
Their feet are weird.
Yeah,
They're like, it's weird to
furry
see.
and
I've been
then
seeing a lot of
scaly.
owl videos lately, and I'm like,
I love the feet. Oh,
how do
they're
you
so
feel
cool.
about like medium, psychics, Ouija boards, like all of that kind of? Even though those aren't really all related, but like,
Yeah,
just
I mean, my mom is super psychic, always has been. Like, yeah, I come from a long line of Irish clairvoyants. So,
wow.
and they called it clairvoyant because they're Catholic, so they're not allowed to say psychic. So, yeah, so that psychic gifts run in my family on my mom's side. And, my mom doesn't call herself psychic, but like before caller ID was a thing, she knew every single time who was on the phone, like every time. Oh, I bet that's just some sales call, like
Wow.
just always I bet that's your grandmother, like every time,
Interesting.
so
Yeah.
weird. And also I've been in 2 bad car accidents and she knew both times before it happened. Like I would have like 10 calls on my cell phone from her right before it even happened. So, yeah. So I believe in all of that. My mom has had some crazy experiences with Ouija boards. Like she was like doing one for a friend in college and they were like talking about this guy who had just ghosted her for like 3 months. And then he called like my mom's house or whatever, where the girl didn't even live, and they were like doing a seance about him. So my mom's had crazy experiences with Ouija boards. I personally haven't.
Do they hold darker energy or it just depends?
The thing is, I think all of the stuff that we say about like magic and a magical reality
There's
that's
a
like
light
dark
and
and
dark,
scary.
right.
Yeah, it's what you bring to it and your intention. It's how well you're utilizing your own energy. Like, are you like drawing from, whatever because it's all present, right? There's going to be light and dark because it's all one anyways. So is your intention to do something for like personal gain or to like prove yourself or to make someone love you or see you? Like if that's the energy that you're drawing from, then it's likely or it's possible that the outcome won't be as positive as you might like it to. But yeah, I totally believe, I mean, such a big part of my coaching is putting people into trance state. And so then they're in this deep hypnotic state and we walk through their subconscious. And like one of my clients, we're healing her Lyme's disease right now, so we can like go into her body, talk to the disease itself, this autoimmune disease, and see what it needs and what it wants, and I can be in this psychic space with her. And so that's a different, like that's not a future seeing psychic, right? But I can be on the phone with someone who's thousands of miles away and be sharing psychic space. So we have like kind of one thing that we think of as this is what a psychic is, but it's just about utilizing sort of an energetic relationship to the realm of thought that's already outside of us anyways, right? Like that's where our thoughts come from.
So then how do you feel about pharmaceutical drugs? No?
I'm a hard no.
Hard no?
Yeah, I'm a hard
What about like
hard
with things
no.
like cancer and stuff, like in the treatments and everything like that?
My partner's spirit mom cured stage 4 cancer with a 40-day water fast.
What?
Yeah, water. Clean, clear water. And no toxins and no chemicals.
She just only drink water, no food?
Because your body goes into starvation, and so then it eats like the dead cells.
Yeah.
So it ate the cancer cells and left all the good ones. and
I've
she
heard
was
that,
healed.
they
Oh my
like
God.
cancer can't thrive in alkaline environments. It can only thrive in acidic ones, which alkaline is like plants and like natural, things like that. And then acidic is meat and dairy and sodas and all
Processed
that stuff.
food.
So, processed
Yeah.
food and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah, I have so many different people in my life who have benefited from. Yeah, I mean, there's a book called The Pleasure Principle, and he was an oncologist who found out he had stage 4 cancer, and he just focused on pleasure and enjoying his life and eating good food and taking care of himself and sitting at the beach every day. And he cured and he was a cancer doctor, So there's a lot of things we just don't know about. And, there's a lot of documentaries that talk about this suppressed information. And you look at some of the things that CBD can do, like heal epilepsy in children and and cure skin cancer tumor or lesions, tumors. Plants are fucking miracles.
Yeah.
They really are.
Plants are the medicine.
Yeah, so I take them for everything. Like no matter what happens, unless like yeah, I mean, the other day I had a migraine. It was so bad, and aspirin is made from willow bark, so I made willow bark tea, and I felt so much better. Synthesized.
But do you think that like people could? I mean, so say people weren't as like in tune with like how you are with everything, and then they had a migraine.
Most people aren't. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like in the normal person, and like if they had a migraine and then they took that, do you think that would work on them, or does it come from like?
I think that if you have the awareness of like, oh, aspirin, where it came from, how it's been synthesized in this lab, originally the substance that they used, that they sucked out of this thing to get the thing that we're making, which is like this little blue liquid gel, right? That thing originally came from willow bark. So if you choose to believe, oh, well, this is actually the source of this little blue liquid gel, I'm going to go straight to the source. I'm going to try this bark. But yeah, you have to believe in it, right? Like I believed it was going to work, and so it worked. Like,
right.
I got really sick, and I had a fever, and I had a headache, and so I just put like cayenne and ginger and all these things that were going to like heat me up, elderflowers, and I had a headache, so I put willow bark in it, and I drank this whole pot of tea, and I felt so much better. Wow. You know, it's like, yes, I believe that it's going to work, but also that's what these plants have been known to do for thousands of years, because that's why they are still here. That's why we have all the plants that we do, because they've been utilized, they've been harvested. You know, like my partner split his leg open a few weeks ago, and I had this yarrow. I had powdered yarrow from the garden, and it's a styptic, and I literally just put it on. He's like gushing, dripping blood, and I just like put yarrow on it, and it stopped bleeding, because that's what yarrow does. So, you know.
And I also noticed, like, you know, you say partner, and which I love that word, by the way. But how do you or witches or feel about like monogamy and sex and marriage and all that stuff? Is like marriage is that like a controlled kind of Christian kind of viewpoint, or do you view marriage as like a unity not associated with that?
That's a great question. I think that every person is going to have a different, even like astrological signs. Like my mom, after she divorced my dad, she's a Sagittarius. She's like never dated anybody. She's alone. She's happy. She still travels the world with her best friend, who's also a Sagittarius. And they just like live their lives, and they're just so happy. And she keeps taking classes in college, and like, da-da-da. You know, like I'm a Gemini. That's the lovers. That's the twins. Like I like that I have a partner, but I was single most of my life. So I think it's going to be different for everybody. Personally, my partner and I are in a monogamous container. And I'm like, I really hope his mom doesn't listen to this, because my mom won't, but his mom might. But sorry, Deb, just in case you are. Yeah, we're not open, like, but we have been to plenty of play parties, and there's a lot of sort of freedom and acceptance. Like if I want to play energetically, like even one of my best friends, we were at a party, and we ended up just like sitting in yab yum together, which is like the tantric position of like one straddling the other, and just playing with energy. And we're fully clothed, and we weren't kissing or touching each other's breasts or anything. We were literally just like doing breath work in yab yum together. And, you know, my partner was sitting there kind of like, okay, like, do I need to keep everyone from watching this? Like, I don't really know what to do. You know, like he didn't know what to do. But I think every witch, every person is going to have a different response to what they want in terms of polyamory. Like, I just can't energetically. I don't want another wand in my cauldron. Like, I'm good.
What about like marriage and like that?
Yeah. So originally, hand fasting was a pagan or more that's what like the British, right? Like I come from a more Celtic European lineage, so that's the English word for it. But I'm sure that it's called different things in other indigenous cultures. But hand fasting was just like a promise, just a commitment to be together. Marriage itself, the way that the legal documentation of it was sort of a ownership and property arrangement. Especially because when you think about paternity and passing land, the reason why land always used to pass from women is because you can't prove paternity. Right. You need a test. But if a woman gives birth to a child, that is her heir. So that's why women actually used to own all the land, and it would pass to daughters, because then like this is her, she begat her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that when that shifted and changed, that's when marriage became sort of like, you own this woman and this is your property and all of that. So do I believe in having a celebration and a ceremony to honor my commitment to my partner and our lives together and everything we're building? Absolutely, 100%. Do I want to like, you know, maybe do one where I'm in like a full red, high priestess gown with like a rose crown and stuff, and then maybe a different one where I'm in a white dress? Yes, but do I want to have it in the cathedral trees of the redwoods and not in a church? Totally.
Yeah.
But I think that the answer for that is going to be different for everybody.
So, but it's not like a legal thing. It's a personal, like, it's not like, oh, here's this marriage contract kind of, but it's more like like government wise, it's more of like a personal, like, yeah, we'll have a ceremony. I am married. Like, we are married, but you wouldn't like sign a marriage.
I would for like, the tax purposes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's with government and stuff and like the control thing and everything. I just don't know how like people feel, or how do witches feel about like government and stuff like that that's going on. You know what I mean?
I'm a pretty anarchist witch personally. I don't talk about that very often because I think that it's just not always helpful. Like a lot of people, will ask me my opinions on things, and then from my perspective, that's them sort of validating their own opinion because, oh, well, she thinks that. And I just think that we should all follow our own intuition, right? It's like our inner wisdom.
Intuition?
Intuition.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's about what feels right.
Okay, so like
you.
with taxes and stuff like that. Like you were like
I'm pretty anti all of that. I'm
but
like,
you would,
get the fuck out of here. I made this money.
But okay, so that's kind of what I was like trying to like.
And I just think it's like if we were living in like a European country where our taxes were allocated to really take care of people and healthcare was taken care of and college educations were taken care of and people and teachers were paid well, like I would be fuck yeah, take my taxes. Here you go. Absolutely. But when 90% of it goes to a defense budget and the 38 active war zones that America is involved in throughout the world, like I'm not really psyched about that personally.
No. And I can really agree with that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we do kind of like have to start wrapping this up. But I do want to ask about your witch school.
Yeah.
Is like, can you kind of like, is that kind of what you were going to ask too?
No, I want to ask about the devil. Like when I said, should I befriend the devil in almost a joking way, you said it's funny that you asked that.
Well, yeah, because my coach, who is a deeply magical witch, that was one of the options that she gave me was like, well, you could go to the crossroads and invoke the devil. But that is like,
that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, I know.
I don't like that you're interested in this.
No, I'm not interested.
But it's just about facing your fear.
It's
about facing whatever adversary is within you.
So Lucifer is not what you're talking about, like that whole realm, or
I don't really buy into all of that.
When
like we all have dark and light. We're all everything. Okay. Have you ever had moments where you just like wanted to crawl out of your own skin or
what
like
about
kill
demons?
someone?
Do you believe in that?
Even the origin of that word was like our spirit. Genius.
Well, exorcisms and stuff?
I mean, I think that if you allow yourself to get caught up in the part of you that's dark or sad and you get trapped down
like
there.
Children and stuff though, like that it happens to you? Because my friend's like son he had to have an exorcism performed on him.
Well, I wonder what he was doing either in this lifetime or the last one that drew that experience karmically to him.
That kind of, okay.
I mean, who knows? Like it's all, this universe is infinitely more intricate than we can know. So like those things, do they happen? Yes, sure. Do I feel like empowering a story about how demonic entities can come and attach to me because of something? No, I just don't.
Okay.
Not.
Okay.
Well, I said that because you were talking about the goddess and the god and how they turned God and then took the goddess or what the horns and they made that the devil. So that's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah. And there are, I just talked to one of my, again, Ben Decker, the one who said money and obligation for the higher consciousness. He and I actually just had a conversation about this on Saturday night. And it's about meeting your adversary. It's about like confronting and coming face to face with the whatever you fear or whatever your darkness is. I definitely would not recommend that without having deep magical training and being really aware of what it is that you're doing, because it can be considered black magic, just the fact that you're calling that energy in. But what Ben said was like, why you meet at a crossroads is basically because you're meeting your fear, confronting it face to face, and sort of being like, you're going back that way and I'm walking into tomorrow. Like I'm stepping forward. I'm taking this road into the rest of my life without you or without that fear. So it is a magical working. I have certainly never done it, but I do spend a lot of time confronting my fears and communicating with my rage and my anger and my shadow and my darkness. And hitting, different layers of rock bottoms and finding the door down there and walking through. So, it's like we all have different ways of doing
like working on your emotional intelligence as well
for sure.
at the same time. Wow.
I just need to clarify. I hope y'all don't know. I don't want to really do that. I just thought when you were,
did? I mean, I just was like,
no, I truly thought that when you said like you were talking about how the cows.
Eventually, if that's what you were ready for, you'd learn a lot.
Okay, but no, I think everybody. I feel like I'm being misunderstood right now. I don't know how to explain myself.
No, she just explained it.
Yeah, and
So
I'm not
that's-
misunderstanding
I
you
was-
because my partner is the one who like had a freak out on me and was like, "I'm afraid that this coach of yours is too satanic. I can't believe she would even suggest that to you." And I was like, "Oh, I like wasn't even worried about doing it. If she actually told me to do the ritual, I was like, oh, okay, I'll go for it."
I still feel like I'm being misunderstood. There was this one part you were talking about. There was a god and a goddess, and then they turned for fuck it.
They turned God, the Father, into the devil. So if that was the intention, was to go and meet the original father god who was the consort of the goddess or the partner of the goddess, then if that's who you're going to meet, and it's like, I'm going to connect, like the day that I left this offering for the horned god, somebody could have said that's devil worship.
Yeah.
And my owl wings disappeared. So something crazy magical did happen for sure. But like, did I have an association with that as if like the devil? It's like, no.
Yeah. Like, because when you said that, I was like, oh, look, I guess the devil's not bad, because I thought it was just a different form of God.
Yeah, it's the same as death. It's like, it's not bad or scary. It's just the other end of life.
And it's weird because like, aren't like Satanists, like people look at that like aren't they actually like not?
I don't know enough about that tradition to speak on it, quite frankly.
Oh, okay.
I think that it's like, my understanding of it is sort of worshiping that
Negative energy, right?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but I think it's just like worshiping, not just because, at least from my perspective, when I hear about the things that God is going to do to you from the Christian church, like if you're gay, if you're this, if you're that, like kill a witch, like to me, that seems like worshiping the most devilish, negative. Like we talk about the witch burnings, but like, why aren't we talking about the people who burned the witches?
Right.
The people who are literally taking women out of their homes, away from their families, like stripping babies off of their breasts and like lighting them on fire or drowning them. Like, why aren't we talking about the devil worshipers that did that? Because that's worshiping the devil. So that's, I mean, I think that there's,
that's so interesting.
So I think that it's like kind of the anti of that is what Satanists are about. Is it's more like freedom and you know, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know enough, but I know Sky made a video on them. She like went and visited some Satanists in Salem and talked to them about what their practice is. And I think it's just more on normalizing the dark sides of life, which again, when we talk about suppressing emotions and suppressing sexuality, that's all actually really liberating and healing, is to let your, you know, big boys don't cry. Like, that's incredibly damaging. My partner, bless his light, but like no one ever let him cry, ever. And so now at 30 years old, he's got a lot of stuck emotions. And even last night we watched I Am Sam because I was like, we have to get him to cry. I must have cried like 16 times throughout the movie, and not just like a tear running down, but literally like, oh gosh, so sad. Wow. You know, and he like had like a few little tears like trickling down, and that was it. That was like all we could get out of him from like the saddest movie I've ever seen. And you know, because men are just programmed not to think it's okay. So my understanding of Satanists is more that they're just like accepting of the parts that like the church has told you not to accept.
Oh wow, I want to.
So cool.
Well, I do want to talk about the witch school.
Yeah.
So what is that? Like,
it's like micro Hogwarts online, self-paced,
Cute.
doing your own thing, and basically everything that we've shared now at this point, right? I've said that my version of the craft is very different. It's just about honing and cultivating my own personal wisdom. And the basics of witch school, there are 2 levels. One is like the foundational elements of communicating the language of the universe, numbers and symbols and chakras and animals and herbs and astrology and all of these different things that will help you to understand, like when a bird passes, you know, when these numbers show up, when, you know, the person you're going on a date with is wearing this color, like all of these different things that you can utilize to just interpret the world around you and your reality, and then be able to manipulate it positively or have an impact on it. And then the second level is called elemental embodiment, and it's working with the elements. So the earth is our body, obviously, right? It's our physical, dense energy. The air is our breath. The water is our blood. It's our emotions. It's our sensuality and sexuality. Then the breath also is our mind, it's our intellect, it's our thought, it's our communications, how we express. And then the fire is not only the electricity that makes our heart beat, but it's our passions and our motivation, our drive, and our will, our capacity to step forward and start a new chapter and be reborn from the ashes like a phoenix. You know, we've seen, I don't know how long you guys have been in LA, but when there were fires a couple of years ago, man, the fields of wildflowers the next spring were insane. Like you've never seen the hills of Malibu covered in flowers, and it was only because they'd burned the year before. So those are the elements, and then the fifth element is spirit or ether. And so we work through different practices, like different divinatory, so like ways of divining or understanding or interpreting different practices that connect you to each of those things by getting in your body or using breath work or lots of meditations and ways you can create ritual around those elements as well. So it's like foundational tools, and then really more ways of bringing it into your life, ritualizing, creating ceremony around whatever. Like you're asking about the tea, you know, water holds memory. Have you heard of the work of Dr. Emoto? So if you hold a glass of water and you send love to it and then freeze it, the ice crystals show up like beautiful snowflakes. But if you send like hate and fuck you to it and then freeze it, they're all like disconnected and super dissonant. So water holds memory. And on the molecular level, our bodies are actually 99% water. So if you want your tea, speaking of someone who like maybe doesn't believe it, if you like ask your water, hey water, I'm sending healing vibes for my headache and for me to feel better, and I'm just asking you, precious, sacred, clean, holy, beautiful, blessed water, I'm asking that you support me in my healing. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for hydrating me. Thank you for nourishing my cells. It's like, boom, that's a spell. And you just cast a spell on your water, and then your water's going to cast a spell on you in return.
So can I be like, water, I'm really looking for a
Really trying to figure out this
ass,
headache.
like guy that will do like all this so that could, and then
But you got to work on,
intentional.
but you got to work on what the beliefs are that you have about yourself,
Right.
like worthiness, what, you know, what your stories about men are. Because if you're like, oh, I'm looking for this, but deep down there's a little part of the little girl inside of you who thinks that boys are mean and they can't be trusted, or men are dogs. It's like, you got to work with that first.
Oh, right. You have
gotta
to
do
be
the
fully
work.
ready for it.
Well, good luck being fully ready, because
Well,
then
yeah.
a whole nother bag of worms will come up, can of worms. But you know what I mean?
Well, I see that you have on, are you in the Hermione time turner thing?
Oh my God. I did not even think about that.
Is that
No,
really?
but it does look like her time turner. Oh my
Is
God.
that not it?
No, this is by, shout out to Sam. This is by Indigo Unveiled. This is a Merkaba. Yeah. I don't know. It's a Merkaba, but it does look like Hermione's time turner. Now that's what I'm going to call it that. Okay, 2 turns back, please.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, you've mentioned Harry Potter a lot. Is the way that, how do you feel about the way media portrays that world?
Pretty
You
great.
like it?
Personally.
Okay, great.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like
love
it's
that.
a lot of real. I mean, when even all the subjects at Hogwarts are real magical teachings.
So do you have wands?
I do have a wand. Yeah,
What is
A
a wand?
wand. Not wands. A wand.
yeah. I have one wand.
What does a wand do? What is its
Direct energy, extends your field.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
So it's not like shooting out anything.
Not yet.
What does that mean?
I mean, who knows? Like,
she made someone levitate.
Yeah, and for me personally, what I believe about that is that I still have work to do on my own belief systems to be able to actually see the physical manifestation of magic exiting my wand. Have I seen magic work? Have I manifested money and my partner and my dream home and, you know,
You've done with,
tons
like, your
of
hands and, like,
passive
mine.
income in my business and like great sex and all these different things? Have I seen magic work? Yes. Countless times over and over. I've already proved it to myself that it works. Are there other layers in my psyche, because we're all programmed and we all deal with, you know, shoulds and should nots, and this isn't real, and that's a fairy tale, and this is nonsensical, and you're an idiot, or you're a loser. You know, that was the big thing for me when I was a little girl. I was like rejected and abandoned and beat up and all the things that could happen to like a little magical fairy girl. And So I believe that it's just more work, more magical practice, more ritual, more clearing, more cleansing, more amplification of my energetic body, activating Kundalini energy, not necessarily in Kundalini, but just like the electricity inside of your body and amplifying that in order to then be able to, at some point in my lifetime, perhaps see the energy manifest physically or, energetically and exit through my wand. Have I reached that yet? No, but do I believe that it's possible? Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love this.
This has been such an amazing interview. Like,
Yeah.
you've taught me so much. Like, I look at a lot of things very differently now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
Before we wrap things up, we have 3 completely random questions that have nothing to do with this whatsoever.
Okay.
So
Great. Maybe that'll be interesting for people.
Yeah.
Switch it up.
You go first.
I want to ask yours. What is your favorite way to cook or eat a potato? What do you mean?
Ooh,
That's my question.
God, I love potatoes in every form.
It's so funny. Everybody says like,
I know.
love potatoes.
Oh God. I mean, it just depends. Like, because a perfectly done French fry, like the kind that's so crispy on the outside, but so soft on the inside, like fully cooked, tender with the right sauces, like, But I would say that actually, like in my heart of hearts, my favorite potato form is the twice baked potato. Yeah.
So good.
With sour cream and chives and green onions, like all in it. My mom does it all real good. And then butter. And then you melt the cheese on top and put it back in, just like,
so good.
Yeah, damn. Okay.
Yeah. But my mom's Irish, so like I always ate a lot of good potatoes back in my house. Yeah.
Okay, so the second question is so hard for me to ask. It's Stephanie's question and I don't know how to say it. If you could be the best at any Olympic sport, summer or winter, what would it be?
God, I haven't even watched 1 minute of the Olympics that's happening right now. I don't know. Is there like squirrel suiting or something where you're like flying? Are they doing that?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure I just saw like a bunch of people in squirrel suits for something.
Like jumping off stuff?
Yeah, and like flying.
wow.
Whatever it would be like flying. I want to do that.
I knew
I
that
love
you would
that
say some
answer.
shit. And
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
Because like, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's the only one I would really care about. I used to really like figure skating when I was a kid. Actually, I did see 1 minute. Bear was watching highlights the other day, and those Olympic trampolines are next level.
Trampolines.
Yo, they are jumping like 30 feet in the air on the trampolines. It's a whole nother
Like
level.
the gymnast or
Yes.
what? Oh, okay.
And like full, huge aerial flips and crazy stuff. I was like,
okay, so you just like being in the air and then
I want to
coming
fly.
back down.
Yeah. Some type of flying would be great for me. Yeah.
Okay, the third question is very interested in this one with you. But would you rather trip psychedelics in the desert or smoke weed on the beach?
Ooh, definitely smoke weed on the beach.
Okay, do you not like psychedelics?
No, I love them. I
Okay.
just don't like being in the desert.
Okay, what
I'm a
about
lush
tripping
forest.
on the beach?
Yeah,
I'm a
I've done that
forest
before,
person
but
too.
I end up when I trip on the beach, I just end up like this. Like there's a universe in every grain of sand, like literally like staring at the sand for so long, and then like a little piece like trickles down, and you just like watch it, and then and then you just look up, and you're like, wow, I've been staring at the sand for so long.
Okay, that's fair.
So I like tripping
I'm a
in
forest
the forest
person too.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
But the last time I did that, we went on a walk, and I just ended up like just laying. I still had my backpack on, and I was just like laying in the forest like this with Bear, and he was like, "Baby, come on," and I was like, I'm a tree. I can't move,
Yeah.
So he's like, let's do things. I'm like, no. But we did have so much fun. Oh my God. We took a super, super microdose, but of this like the purest, highest grade LSD that has ever been made.
I'm an LSD person.
Yeah. I used to be very much, and mushrooms used to make me sick, and now I've done psychedelics very few times compared to most people, but I really just like to do a serious experience and then really integrate what's happened and utilize that to then be able to live my life in a sober state 95% of the time and just implement everything that I've learned. But we took like a sixth and went into the redwoods, and there was this one part of the path where the sun hadn't shone yet, and it had been really cold earlier that day, and so all the sunlight was like shining through the leaves or like, you know, the redwoods, so they don't have leaves at the bottom, and just so these just huge swaths of like light shining in the mist. So there's just all these sun rays, you can see everything, and steam coming off the trees. It was just like so magical. And there was this one part where the sun hadn't shone yet, and all the clover were still frozen. Like they were like crisp frozen. And so we were just like picking them and like crunching on. They're technically redwood sorrel, but it looks like clover. And they're this super, tastes like the skin of green apple, these little clovers. Oh my goddess. And we just like ate every little frozen.
Did you say, oh my goddess?
Yeah. We just ate every little frozen clover over there, and we had so much fun together. So yeah.
Wow.
But I love cannabis too. I think that she's such a sacred, amazing plant. And yeah, I you know, for a like shorter time frame, but a psychedelic experience, at least for me, like if you do a little breath work on cannabis, you can reach the same states.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think that it's a much more accessible medicine, and because then, you know, you can be complete within, you know, an hour or two, as opposed to like being on a journey for
12.
Yeah.
12
hours. Yeah.
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 Well, damn. Okay. Well, where can our listeners find you?
Everything is at Mia Magik, MIAMAGIK for the OG Egyptian magic. And yeah, Instagram, YouTube, website for if you want to come learn about crafting your own wisdom and go to a little magic school, be like all my favorite Hogwarts students.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cute.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Totally.
Thank you so much.
I really can't express how much I appreciate this. The time, like, well, first of all, being in LA, I know everything takes like fucking 5 hours to get to. So just like, thank you for doing that and for educating us and our listeners, because I think this is a good way for people to look at witches differently. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just not what you guys think, yo.
I'm a friendly witch.
Did you just say yo?
Yeah. I meant to say y'all and it came out yo. So anyway. But guys, thank you for making it to the end of this. Thank you again for coming on. Totally. If you guys want to leave us a little comment. Wait, no, rating.
Okay. Review.
We're really trying, y'all.
We're really trying to end these episodes a lot better than we have. We're working on landing that. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at Oh Here We Go. The O has 2 H's, then it's Here We Go.
Lacey spells this out every time.
Dude, because people would just type 2 H's.
It still comes up.
Oh, well, the more you know.
I meant to tell you that last time. I was like, it still comes up no matter what.
Okay. But yeah, we would love to hear from y'all, and would love to hear your feedback and what you think.
Yeah. Thank you for listening and making it all the way to the end. And check out Mia and go to school.
Go to school.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.